your hands for our guests. First is Rochelle Hardy-Blunt, Global Head of Trade Operations at BlackRock. Adam Watson, Global Product Management, again, from BNY Mellon. Dina Masterpalo-Harris, Global Head of Fixed Income Middle Office and Client Strategy, Citi Markets. And last but not least, Fred Crosnier, Global Head of Operations, JP Morgan Asset Management. Thank you all for being on stage. What a wild ride it's been over the last year and a half. The pandemic has taught us all so much. I actually feel like it energized us to really dig deep and figure out how we can work better together. So think connectivity, interoperability, flexibility. They are no longer nice to haves, they are must haves, and they are being demanded by our customers and also our workforce. So before we get into trends, challenges, and innovations for operations teams, I'd love for you all to tell the audience a little bit about yourselves, maybe a fun fact or two. We do want this to be like the favorite panel of the session.
No pressure.
No pressure?
Yeah.
So Rochelle, why don't we start with you?
Absolutely. And before I get into me, I just have to say, we had a friendly conversation about who would be the best dressed on the panel.
Fred won.
And I think Kate won. I think Dina and I are second, tied. And you guys are third and fourth.
I think the ladies won.
Only Fred has a pocket square, though.
Oh, the
It was the first time we were doing something in person again in a while, so I was like, I had to dust off all the old wardrobes.
I think you guys did
Still
great.
fits.
All right. I think you did
I'm with
great.
Mike, though. My suit pants didn't fit. That's why the jeans are on.
I knew this would spark conversation. So hello, everyone. I'm Rochelle Hardy-Blunt. I'm Global Head of Trade Operations at BlackRock. I've been at BlackRock for 18 years. Fun fact about me, I have three wonderful children. I have two who are currently freshmen in college. They both played Division I basketball. My son is at Quinnipiac University, look him up, Bernie Blunt. And my daughter is at Detroit Mercy University, Taylor Blunt. So pretty exciting times for me. A lot of fun stuff coming my way.
And hello, everyone. I'm Dina Masterpalo-Harris. I work at Citibank. I have been there for 12 years. I run the fixed income middle office globally, along with operational client relationship management. And I have a really fun fact. I'm a huge music fan. I've been to over 200 Bruce Springsteen shows.
Wow, that's
Just
impressive.
Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
That's big.
No, not just, I've been to a lot of
I've never
shows,
been
but-
to any Bruce Springsteen.
Well, yeah, you don't know what you're missing.
I didn't know who he was until I moved to America.
Well, now that you're a U.S. citizen, maybe you will go to
You
one
stole
or
my
two.
fun
That
fact.
should have been a question before you.
I'm Adam Watson, Global Custody Product Management at Bank of New York. I've been there for just under a year. Before that, 14 years at JP Morgan. Interesting fact about me, actually, I'll pick on Harry if he's still here from Zoom. Harry talked about the fact that Zoom allowed people to normalize head sizes in Zoom. But what it did was it disenfranchised people it stopped people understanding height. So I am at a lofty 6'7", and now we're going back to some form of in-person meetings. I think the resounding comment is, wait, did I know you were a giant? So Zoom has helped some people and has hindered others. So that's probably an interesting fact. And the fact that I'm a newly minted American.
It hasn't helped me because people think I'm taller, but I'm not, guys.
I did notice you weren't on a stool.
I can't say the analogy, so I can't have a stool. And last but not least, again, so Fred, interesting fact about you that I will share, and then you could elaborate on it, is that you have been on both the Symphony and the Access FinTech board.
Yeah, that's right. First of all, it's so exciting to be back in person at Innovate. Last time was 2 years ago, and clearly this event is a must-do, and we're so happy to be back here in person. And yes, I had the privilege and the pleasure to sit on the board of both Access FinTech and Symphony. Again, it's amazing what we can do if we collaborate, and bringing the power of industry professionals together has delivered amazing solutions that you've seen here, and we're going to see so much more coming.
Yeah.
And I would say, back to an early comment today about, operations being on the back end of innovation, not that sure about that, actually. I think we've done quite a few things, and that has actually shown also to front office that some level of collaboration can really achieve great things. So,
yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Thanks for making that point.
Yeah.
So we had a prep session last week, and I had all of these questions, and I was trying to have a structured panel, and what I realized was that this group doesn't need structure because they're so informed and so intelligent, and so I will kick off with a question or two and then let the group go, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So why don't we start, Rochelle, with you. We talk a lot about interoperability, connectivity, and flexibility to bring people, applications, and bots together for collaboration. And this is very similar to your thought process, and obviously we talked to Lou and Isla about this very much. What does interoperability mean to you and your organization, and what has it looked like up to now?
Absolutely, good question. So when I think of interoperability, I think about people, process, and platform, as well as collaboration, communication, and connectivity. So from my perspective, when you think about people, it's not just about my team. It's about internal partners within the firm. It's also about our external partners, our custodians, brokers, prime brokers, fund admins, et cetera. A very important process to the ecosystem, right? And when we talk about process, we talk about an end-to-end workflow, typically where STP is 100%. We all know that there's those corner cases where you get that break in STP. And when you get that break in STP, it's important to have an agreed upon process with your partners to really look at the end-to-end, right? And from my perspective, when I think about that, I think about, all right, I have a break. What's my best way to solve it? Historically, it's been emails, phone calls. It's time to bring our exception management process into the 21st century. It's time to let the systems do what they do, right? It's time to let them connect and really start speaking to each other so we can resolve breaks. So when I think about process, I think about how I can partner with my external partners and really think about that collaborative space where we can really bring our exception management into the 21st century. Secure Event Service is a great opportunity there. And then we think about platform. Again, people, process, and platform go hand in hand. How can we make our ecosystems sort of migrate, talk to each other, and really make sure we come to the table with a shared effort? So for me, interoperability is all about group hug. It's being together. It's saying to ourselves that in order for us to make sure we're driving for the same goal, right? Golden source of data, a high level of exception management, a high level of STP, zero touch. We need that connectivity across the industry.
Thank you. I like group hugs. Along the same lines, and based on our discussions, we know BNY Mellon is an open architecture organization.
We're not huggers, though. Not yet. We're not ready yet.
Tell us more about your view of interoperability.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Kate talks about the prep session, the reason that she wasn't concerned about this was because within about 5 or 10 minutes, we realized the four of us were all speaking the same language, singing off the same hymn sheet, and there really wasn't a need to structure questions because of the fact that we all kind of
I don't have any questions,
song.
so I'm relying on you.
Look, it's exactly the same, right? When I think of the Bank of New York strategy, and I touched on this in the Access FinTech demo, it's about internal innovation and collaboration where it makes sense, and external collaboration and innovation where it adds value both to ourselves and our clients, right? And we talk a lot about the move away from a reactive custodial model to a proactive custodial model, and that could be leveraging machine learning or artificial intelligence to predict when things are going to happen and prevent them ultimately happening. It could be partnership with Access FinTechs of this world and different FinTech solutions, and I think that really spans across the organization, both myself on the asset servicing side, but really across the whole of Bank of New York. We talk about our omni strategy and this concept of open modular, open architecture technology. And ultimately, it's a view of, we see ourselves in a pivotal position to help kind of procure and orchestrate that digital, typically digital or hopefully digital ecosystem that allows, our clients and our third parties to kind of come and collaborate in a digital environment. And we talk about interoperability and I should start trademarking these phrases, but we talk a lot internally, it's me specifically, about this concept of allowing my clients to stay native in their tech of choice while I stay native in mine. And you only achieve that through interoperability, through collaboration, and me and Fred were talking in the prep session around now is the time for big organizations and smaller organizations alike, and fintechs and startups and tech firms to all come together. And we talked about this earlier, right, with Rochelle, is the only way we can achieve utopia and our collective goal in settlement finality and golden source data and democratization of data is really by collaborating together and not trying to necessarily solve solutions in our silo. It's just not the way that the industry's going.
Absolutely.
I got one clap.
That. We can clap. Let's clap. Is it because of our outfits or what Adam said?
For context, with the newly American citizen, I'm wearing my American socks, I'm wearing red, blue and white, and Kate's wearing red. So we did somewhat coordinate.
Can I add something to that, Kate? I just want to say that Lou Rosado and I, we have long conversations about how we can, utilize the tech that's out there, utilize the tech that's within house to really come to a collaborative effort on golden source of data, exception management, and really just a common space of collaboration. So I just have to put that out there because whenever I have an issue, I go to like the Isla Eckhoffs and the Lou Rosados. They're great mentors for me, and they've played an instrumental role in the operations space at one point at BlackRock. So, they're always kind of thinking above, especially Lou. He's always thinking above the curve, and it's always about, all right, let's think about the tools that we can leverage. We use Access FinTech in-house for certain things. We use Symphony for certain things. So now how can we connect those tools and really take it to the next level? So
I think Mike touched on it earlier. Right? He talked about an appropriate level of friction. And this idea that when, I'll pick on Lou as an example because he's not here to defend himself, when Lou comes to me and says, Adam, I've got a problem, the answer isn't always I'll go away and do it. Sometimes there is a level of friction that you can come to a common understanding by working together and collaborating rather than, we talk about you can't provide a cookie cutter solution anymore to clients. There isn't a one size fits all to every problem. And it might be Access FinTech for loans and CSDR, and it might be something else for something else. But ultimately, it's a great time to be in the service provider space because we see ourselves in that pivotal role as kind of that orchestrator and collaborator and facilitator of the interoperability between that ecosystem. So I think it's hugely important, and coming from an operational background, it's great to be in a position where I can help drive that forward.
Fred, do you want to add a point?
I was just going to say on the solving the solution at the industry level that Adam was going to. I think we've tried to do that so many times in the past. I think we've been successful in cases, not very successful in others, but it feels like we're such in a different place now because of the overall ecosystem and again the partnership between financial institutions and now fintechs in particular has allowed to really democratize a little bit how we think about solutions. And it's not necessarily what we were doing like maybe 10, 15 years ago, which is, hey, we need to build a consortium and create a new company and in order to create that collaboration, because otherwise nobody's going to agree to do anything between the banks. That is kind of gone because now we've really democratized the data, democratized the process through things like Access FinTech and others. And we are now working together and solving in a much more commercial way than we've done it before. And I think there's just a tremendous amount of potential acceleration here that we got to seize that moment. And I think this panel is great because, like you said, Adam, when we did the prep, we right away totally agree on all the concept and how we're going to solve issues going forward. And I think this is just a representation, a segment of what the industry looks like now. And I think there's so much more potential out there. And it's a really exciting time, to be honest.
That's a great segue. Dina, if I can add interoperability, there isn't one size fits all for all customers. Everyone is using a different protocol. So from your lens as a broker-dealer, how do you work with your customers to ensure that interoperability exists between their system and yours, and why is that impactful?
So I think it starts with understanding your customer and your customer needs, and just having great dialogue. Also having robust metrics in-house to understand where the pain points are, basically in the life cycle of a trade, and really coming together as an industry to resolve those issues. There's a couple of things we've embarked on a lot. We only have a half hour, so I'll just talk about the latest thing we've done around in the asset servicing space. We've been matching fix for the last couple of years in a lot of different processes post-trade, either through a vendor, a third party, or direct. And we just went live on interest payments in the asset servicing space, as I said. And that was a complete manual process, 0 STP. So in 1 month, we saw 0 STP to 65% automation. And it used to take us about 5 to 7 days to make one of these payments. And now we make it on payment date or the following day. So, and that's just a month or two old. So we want to continue to build upon that sort of stuff.
Wow. Fred, did you want to say something about APIs and?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that was always, maybe a utopic dream of mine. I had discussed with David Gurley and then Brad, being closely involved with Symphony since the beginning, was always the concept of seeing Symphony as a huge industry API. So can you, Dina and others, if they want to use Fix, I want to use something else in terms of protocol, or we have our own built-in workflow, they have their own built-in workflow. The limitation today is that they don't talk to one another, right? So we revert back to email, or in the case now we actually made progress, we revert back to Symphony and we can start exchanging data through chat in Symphony. You can put that even further and through the usage of bots and API connectivity through Symphony, why can't you connect workflow directly to one another and exchange that workflow item without necessarily having to look at a chat screen or something? It's just purely message connectivity. And I think this is just a technical build that will need to happen, but those type of company, those type of technology really allow us to think even completely differently about how to solve problem in the future. This is just an example, but we'll make it happen.
It goes back to that previous point, right, of allowing clients to stay native in their tech of choice, and that's a channel agnostic delivery approach, as well as a physical application, whilst also allowing yourself to stay native in your tech of choice. Like, we will all make our chat choices, we'll all make our email and our exception management platforms, but it's how you allow them to interoperate and communicate with each other is going to be hugely important.
Yeah, and one thing that we always had a debate on between buy side, sell side, and I've been on both sides, is you build a website or a web app for a client, and the client be like, great, that's great, but I don't want to use one app per brokers that I have, etc. So I do aggregate that. You can build app, for example, and use it within the context of Symphony, and so suddenly they have just one place to go. It's within Symphony or something, it's within Access FinTech, etc. Again, there is very different way to think about collaboration now that we have those technology available.
We've heard loud and clear from our buy side, our big clients, they don't want individual portals from 12 different brokers, leveraging Access FinTech and partnering with Symphony. I mean, that's the ultimate way to go.
Yeah, I mean, today we receive files and spreadsheets through email from our brokers, from our custodian. So bringing that together is completely inefficient, risky, and again, sometimes difficult to think okay, well, can I impose to all my custodian and all my brokers and all my fund admin the same technology protocol? Well, yeah, I could, or I could be more realistic and provide a flexible interface by which they can provide that. And for me, I just have one place to go. We provide the flexibility on the other hand. Everybody wins.
Yeah. We heard about it in the wealth session earlier, right? Mike was talking about this concept that the modern investors don't use email unless it's your uncle that's sending you a cheesy joke, or they don't, they're not receiving phone calls. People don't remember. I don't even remember my parents' phone number anymore, and it was ingrained in me as a kid, right? And I think that's transcending to a workforce that isn't accepting no as an answer. So when I joined the finance industry 15 years ago, it was a T3 settlement market, and there were certain markets that were dumping markets, and you had DKs and returns and all kinds of stuff. Whereas now, the modern investors and the young talents coming out of the collegiate system in America or globally into a workforce is not standing for that. Why can't we do T1 settlement? Why can't we do T0 settlement? And what's inhibiting us to get there? And to a certain extent, data is at the core of that, right? And interoperability between platforms and not forcing everybody to default back to scribing an email and sending it to Fred so that he can respond back to me in email. I think that's where we need to get to, and obviously that's where we're all singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think it's time for change. It's time for us to change our mindset. You know, the way we collaborate, a shared space is the future. And for me, if I can come in and open up my laptop or open up my desktop and I can see the collaboration going on, that's one less phone call, that's one less email I have to make, right? The machines are doing the talking. Yes, you'll have people behind that, but if the machines can solve it, let the machine solve it. We just need to have a view on what's going on. So I think it's time for change.
We talked about this earlier, Rochelle and myself, around this concept of there's a solution, a root cause, and a problem statement. And we sometimes jump straight to a solution before we've truly understood the root cause and the problem statement. Mm-hmm. And we often say internally at Bank of New York around, it's a matter of investing in technology to power our people. That's both our people and our client from a people perspective, but it's not putting technology in a solution where there isn't a problem statement, right? It's about technology to power people.
Yeah.
So what is important, Rochelle, to you in 2022 with budget season underway? What are things that you're asking your technology partners in the Aladdin product group for?
Sure. So if we think about 2020 and also 2021, operations focused a lot on the data. So we're a data-driven, agnostic part of transaction management at BlackRock, and we focused a lot on the data. It gave us an objective view on where we needed to focus our automation roadmap. One thing it also told us is that, hey, it's time for real-time settlement. It's time to get these messages in. It's time to get these messages in a collaborative space where we can work with our partners on exception management on top day. So into 2022, I will be putting a major focus on transforming our exception management process. And a lot of work still needs to be done, but I'm partnering with the likes of Lou Rosado, to really come to the table with our technology team to really show them the benefit of some of the technology that's out there that we can partner with and hopefully get our exception management process to the 21st century. So exception management is key, right? It's being able to have a process where you don't have a ton of people on it, but it's still efficient, right? Using tools that we can bring into the ecosystem so we can collaborate in a shared space together to make sure that we're all working towards the same goal.
Thank you. And Dina, you've shared some incredible statistics, and you've done a lot of work in creating more interoperability and streamlining processes. What's important to you going into 2022?
I mean, a lot of what Rochelle said, anywhere where we can build upon STP, reduce risk, and we're going through a big data transformation at my firm. So money is going to go towards any of those, and then most of all to improve our client experience. So that is, if you come up with some good things you can automate, working with our clients and our technology and our external partners, money will go there. As long as we're following transformation of data, getting data better, reducing STP, which reduces risk, and then improving the client experience. That's where our dollars are going.
Awesome. Do either of you want to take that question, or should I ask another one of the ones I have in my pocket?
No, that's fine. I'm happy to share for us. I think we have what I feel is a true cultural change within JP Morgan Asset Management in terms of how we think about technology investment. And it's not just like, what is the ops budget, what is the marketing budget, what is the investment platform budget, et cetera, but more about, well, what is the initiatives or the investment we want to make in our business, and how do we solution them front to back? So that has been a really powerful cultural shift for us, and really looking at those initiatives, and this is how we're going to actually resolve and fund them and solve them. And we've seen in the media, we've had a few key areas where we're looking to make a strong investment, whether it's our private market in alternative, whether it's our retail SMA, just to name a few. And so we're looking at those, and we're looking front to back, okay, what investment we're going to make in the business, what investment we're going to make in operation, so that we can really build a first-class business. So really that strong partnership's been very critical for us.
And we're also, we're live in the distributed ledger aspect of things with Exoni. We're live with total return, single name equity swaps. And, we look to continue to build and put investments towards that.
Great. So we have time for one more question, and we all agree that interoperability is key. And you can have, I think you said this the other day, you can have the best technology, but if you don't bring it together across institutions to collaborate, you'll always have gaps. So what would you say to those individuals who aren't singing from our hymn sheet, which is work together?
What I would just say is we're only as good as our weakest link. So in that case, I can individually build the most efficient platform, the most efficient process. If my counterparty is not efficient, I get zero. That's as simple as that. So we have to think about how we bring people along, and I think it takes people like people we have on this panel to really work with our client, work with our partners, work with our custodian, work with our fund. Everybody, really think about the entire ecosystem and how to bring together the solution that we would otherwise try to solve by ourselves, and really make sure that everybody understands the power of solving it once for all, and we're all going to get the benefit. And when it comes to funding of technology, that makes it even better because we start mutualizing those costs. So again, we all win.
No, that's a good one, and I would say a shared vision is always better than a single vision. When I think about coming in, just working in silo, how much can I really get done? Not much. So what I would say is, take a look at the technology that's out there, take a look at your internal technologies, and partner with your internal partners as well as external partners. Have a conversation. Let's all talk about it and come up to a shared solution on how we move forward.
Definitely, picking up the phone, with our stakeholders in the industry, bringing awareness to some of the processes that are not ideal. It's just key to events like this. You hear things. It's a great networking, and it brings a lot of transparency around what's going on. I think that's all important, in addition to what everybody else just said.
Yeah, look, I think for us, right, we'll always internally innovate. We'll always look to use data at our core to provide analytics and more powerful, predictive tools to get ahead of exceptions before they happen. But then, to the rest of the panel's point, it's about understanding where you can't, to Fred's point, where you can't solve a problem alone, and collaborating with technology solutions in the industry, and whether that's Access FinTech or, Sapphire you mentioned earlier from an account onboarding perspective, this concept of creating a golden copy data much, much faster to allow you to understand exceptions in the ecosystem and resolve those, provides you settlement finality, it allows you to open markets faster, it allows you to do all that stuff that you just expect to work in the background in a much more effective way. So I think from the Bank of New York's perspective, it's a heavy investment in internal innovation and then external collaboration where it's appropriate.
Awesome, thank you. I couldn't have asked for a better panel and a more informative time. So thank you, I really appreciate it. Thank you for your continued partnership, and I hope you all help me. Thank everyone for being here.
Thank you.